Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation today on Repertory grids. My name is Collin Snyder, my partner here is Alex Braddock. Today we'll dig into how this technique is used in industry and what it is in general. So let's dive into it. Repertory grid system. What is it? Simply put, it's a rating scale. A rating scale used to collect data and or impressions and thoughts from an individual such as a stakeholder and or consumer on a particular element and or topic. What's great about the system is data collected is unbiased from the surveyor's own thoughts and impressions. It also helps developers understand when creating an app what to give users based on their needs and what they've put on the system. This allows us to make sure we develop and design everything to their needs on the first try, which saves us much more time in production later on. This also makes sure an idea is clear to that programmer and or producer. So who created the process / technique of the repertory grid system? The man's name is George Kelly. He was born on April 28, 1905. The man became to be an American psychologist and was known for his personal construct theory as well as the repertory grid system.
So let's get into the repertory grid itself. Here we have a sample repertory grid. At the top is a topic. In this case, that would be the fitness tracker. Underneath the topic, we have what is called elements. Elements is basically what is being measured by the repertory grid. In our case, elements would be synonymous with the software requirements or application features. To the left and the right of the grid in salmon, we see what is called constructs. Construct is how the element is measured. In this case, we see high customization or low customization, simple or cluttered. Constructs on one side of the grid will be opposite to the constructs on the other side. In the middle of the grid, we finally see the rating. For example, 1 through 5. 1 would be the constructs on the left side of the grid. 5 would be the constructs on the right side of the grid. Any number in between would be how in the middle the shareholder feels the element fits into the construct. The process of creating a repertory grid would be that the person trying to solicit the software requirements would sit down with the shareholder. They would discuss the topic, and then the shareholder would think of different elements. So basically the shareholder would think of several ideas the app could have, different software requirements. Then the shareholder would think of different constructs that are important to them. In the example, we see customization, simpleness, visual beauty, usefulness, or the newness of the idea. The person trying to solicit the software requirements would guide the shareholder through each step, and then guide the shareholder give their rating throughout each section. Once several repertory grids have been made, they can be analyzed. Someone can go through the grids and see where the numbers match up. For example, does the feature of body measurements that people can take and input into the app, do they seem to be getting low numbers, which means it rates good on the scale, or high numbers, which means it's rating bad, according to different things.
So let's talk about the pros and or upside of the repertory grid technique. So first point, it's a useful approach to identify similarities and differences between different information domains. In other words, it's a useful device and or mechanism to integrate and build connections between qualitative and quantitative research techniques. Another pro is this technique is unfamiliar to most users. What's great about this is when we ask them questions or they take the survey, is they'll have to really think about the responses. They'll dig deeper and really think about their past experiences with that particular topic and or element, allowing us better research and more accurate readings than just some easy answer given to move on with their own day. Finally, the last pro to the repertory system and or technique is traceability. Think of traceability as a map to refer back to data gathered from the user and or stakeholder. This allows us to confirm our assumptions and or thoughts on a particular topic as we're able to confirm with the data that everything is correct.
Now I will go over some of the cons of repertory grids. So specific characteristics of complex requirements are difficult to express. What that means is that as the shareholders are thinking about the specifics of the elements or the requirements, it's difficult for them to really express some of the specific characteristics of those. Along the same lines, it's hard to conceptualize these requirements before they're created. I've seen repertory grids used to analyze things after they've been created, but it isn't used as much to conceptualize requirements before they're created, and that's because, frankly, it's a little hard to do. And one of the last and most important cons is that this doesn't work well with non-domain experts. That means people very familiar in the area. A place where a repertory grid could work is, in our case, where we have a fitness app, is someone who knows about fitness and other apps related to fitness. It would be hard for them, for example, to know how useful the different elements at the top would be unless they've had previous experience before. Now we'll go over our recommendations and our conclusion. So repertory grids should only really be used when the shareholders really are domain experts. They will have to think in a way where they will need the knowledge from previously understanding the domain. Now, this is useful when extracting abstract information from the shareholders. The shareholders will really be allowed to think deeply about the different elements they've chosen or different software requirements they've chosen through the different constructs and realizing how each element is seen in the construct. Another thing is that this is also a really good way to analyze as a group when multiple people make repertory grids. Where are the numbers matching up? Is there an area of the grid where they seem to be focused on, where they're all good or bad according to different constructs? And the last thing is, this frankly isn't very common in the industry. It's very difficult to do because someone really does have to be a domain expert. And for that reason, it may not be the best way to solicit software requirements to the normal shareholder.